The 12-17 Fighting Irish are coming to the Dean Dome to take on the Heels. So you know this is going to be an easy W. Or is it?
You don't want none! You don't want none!
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ the Tar Heel. And in this huddle, baby, we're going to talk about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish coming to the Dean Dome to take on the Heels in their last home game of the season. And it is insane to think, bro, that it's already stinking March. And here we are, baby. 2 games left, sitting atop the ACC. A home date with the Irish, and then the Dukies in Durham on Saturday, bro. And it's going to be a crazy little week right here because don't look past the Irish. They've literally won quietly 5 of their last 6. So I'm not so sure that this is going to be the walk in the park that everyone is saying that it will be. I don't know, man. We'll talk about it here in a second. But before we do that, let's take a look at those updated ACC rankings and the upcoming conference games this week. And as we can see, the number 9 North Carolina Tar Heels are currently at the 1 spot with a 15-3 record, followed by the number 10 Duke Blue Devils, who are sitting at 14-4, 1 game back. And they just put an absolute whooping on the 3rd place team, the Virginia Cavaliers, who have a 12-7 record, and they're 3.5 games back. So the one thing that we do know is that not only has North Carolina secured a double bye in the ACC tournament, but they'll be no less than the 2 seed in said tournament. But obviously, we want the 1 seed, right? So followed by Virginia is going to be Syracuse at 11-8. Clemson, Pitt, and Wake are all at 10-8. Florida State and NC State are at 9-9. Virginia Tech is at 8-10. Notre Dame, our opponent, is at 7-11. Boston College, Georgia Tech, and Miami are at 6-12. And the Louisville Cardinal are holding down the rear at 3-15. Now, the upcoming schedule consists of the following games. Obviously, the Duke Blue Devils are going to take on the NC State Wolfpack Monday, March 4th, 7 p.m. on ESPN, which could be good, and that's kind of a rivalry game in and of itself, so they're really not going to be able to look past the NC State Wolfpack because obviously NC State, who, I mean, their shot at making the tournament, they are definitely way on the outside looking in. So this would be a pivotal game if they're going to have any shot at getting to the tourney, which I think is probably like almost none right now. Then on Tuesday, March 5th, obviously we got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Heels, Virginia Tech at Louisville, Syracuse at Clemson, Georgia Tech at Wake Forest, Florida State at Pitt, and then you got Boston College at Miami on Wednesday, March 6th. So, now that we've looked at the standings in the upcoming games, let's get into this thing. This will be the lone regular season matchup UNC has with the Fighting Irish this year, right? Since the 1949-1950 season, UNC holds a 29-9 record head-to-head versus the Fighting Irish. Now, the last time that these two teams met was on January 7th of 2023 in Chapel Hill, where the Heels beat the Irish 81-64. And my man Armando Bacot had 21 points and 13 rebounds. Huge stinking game. RJ Davis had 13 and 5, and Caleb Love dropped 18 himself. This year, the Irish have struggled early, mightily. Obviously, currently holding a 12-17 record, but that very record is slightly deceptive in that the Irish have won 5 out of 6 games after dropping 7 straight in conference play. Their last 2 wins against Wake Forest and Clemson, and those may be their best wins of the season, man. That's not too shabby competition, if you will. Now, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are currently averaging 63.6 points per game, and they're giving up 65.4 points per game. They're shooting 41% from the field as a team, and they're averaging about 36 boards per game and 10 assists. North Carolina, on the other hand, is averaging 81.4 points per game, and they're giving up 70.4 points per game, shooting 45% from the field and averaging 41 rebounds and 14 assists. Now, the Irish are led by head coach Micah Shrewsbury, who is in his first year as the Notre Dame coach, and he's amassed a 12-17 record to this point. The Irish leading scorer and assist man is the 5'11", 166-pound freshman point guard Marcus Burton, who's averaging 17.3 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, 4.3 assists, and he's shooting 42.3% from the field. The Irish's leading rebounder is 6'10", 254-pound sophomore forward Keba Njai, who's averaging 4.3 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, 0.7 assists, and he's shooting 37.1% from the field. But you also want to keep your eye out for the coach's son, Mr. Braden Shrewsbury, a 6'3", 189-pound freshman guard who's averaging only 10 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, 0.8 assists, and he's shooting 38.7% from the floor. But when Braden gets hot, the dude can light it up. He scored over 20 multiple times this year, and even more, obviously, over 15, man. So you can't let that guy get too stinking comfortable or he can hurt you. Now, your North Carolina Tar Heels are led by head coach Hubert Davis, who is in his third year at his alma mater at Carolina. Coach Davis is 72-29, which is good for a .713 win percentage. The Heels' leading scorer is 6', 180-pound senior guard R.J. Davis, who's averaging 21.4 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, and 3.4 assists. He's shooting 42.9% from the floor. The leading rebounder in his final home appearance, the 6'11", 240-pound preseason All-American Armando Bacot, who's averaging 14 points per game, 10.3 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and he's shooting 54.9% from the field. And the leading assist man is the 6'1", 180-pound freshman point guard Elliot Cadeau, who's averaging 17.9 points per game, 1.9 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and he's shooting 43.7% from the field. Now, I cannot stress this enough. This game is an extremely dangerous game for the Tar Heels. It's the seniors' last home game. All of the celebrations and emotions and the bells and whistles that come with your last home game and the celebrating the seniors. Then you have the Duke game that's looming large next Saturday in Durham, which is inevitably going to decide who is the ACC Regular Season Champs. And then everyone is writing off the Irish because all they can see is 12-17. But like was aforementioned, they've quietly won 5 of 6, bro. And it's not against the worst competition. They've beaten Wake Forest and Clemson. Yes, it was at their house, but it doesn't matter. Those are decent teams, and the Irish were able to get it done. Freshman Marcus Burton is a fearless and absolute scorer. I don't care that he's a freshman. He can shoot, he can blow past you on the dribble, and he can and will dish the rock. Shrewsbury can get hot at any given moment and become a nightmare from the perimeter. So, Carolina in this basketball game needs to give the Irish their full attention. So let's get into Russ's 3 keys to victory. Key number 1, you must contain Marcus Burton. Now, this is going to be another instance where I would love to see Carolina put one of their bigger guards like a Cormac and or Seth Trimble and just task them with defending this young man. He is very quick off the dribble, but Carolina's length could pose issues with his ability to shoot over the top. The scoring, make no mistake about it, is centered around Burton's ability to, 1, create his own shot, and 2, set up others on the kickout. So, if you can contain him, if you can stay in his chest, if you can make him uncomfortable, much like Cormac did to DJ Horn against NC State in the second half, the Heels will be in really good position, right? So you've got to contain Marcus Burton. Key number 2, and you'll notice that these are defensive key points. Run Shrewsbury off the three-point line. Whoever draws the Braden Shrewsbury assignment needs to understand that the guy is comfortable from beyond the arc. So run him off of it. If you allow him to get comfortable, set his feet, and start seeing a couple go through, bro, watch out. Because it could put a tremendous strain on your team, the North Carolina Tar Heels, on the offensive end if he starts knocking down threes. So what do? You run Shrewsbury off the three-point line, and you make him settle for 10 to 15 footers. It's a little less his comfort zone. Don't let the kid get comfortable. Yes, these are both freshmen, but yes, they both also have a scorer's mentality, and you don't want them to get confident. And key number 3, feed the slime, bro. This is a game in which I think it would be super fitting, obviously, for Armando Bacot to go out with a bang. I don't think the Irish have anyone down low that can single-handedly keep him from carving out space and getting good looks inside. Now, the Irish attempted to double P.J. Hall down low on the blocks when they played the Tigers a few days ago, which allowed him on a few plays to either find an open shooter or find a cutting player to the basket. One of two things will happen if you feed the slime. He will dominate his man, number 1. Or number 2, he will have tremendous opportunities to set up jumpers for the RJs, the Cormacs, the Harrisons, and yes, even the Elliott Cadeaus. Perfect game for Mondo to show out and finish an unbelievable career in the Smith Center. It might actually bring a stinking tear to my eyes, man. I hate to see him go. It's crazy this is going to be his last home game, man. And that'll lead us to Russ's score prediction. Now, the ESPN matchup predictor gives the North Carolina Tar Heels a 96.2% chance of beating the Irish. While I do think that this North Carolina team has too much firepower to legitimately be threatened by a young Irish squad, you can never be too careful when we're talking about young people dealing with all the emotions that arise at this crucial time of the year. You know, senior night, Duke game coming up, knowing that the nation's going to be stinking watching. There's all these different things that are happening in these young men's lives. Can they focus? Can the Heels forget about Duke leading up to the Irish game and for those 40 minutes? Do they defend with passion and pride like they did in the second half against the NC State Wolfpack? Or God forbid, do they overlook this Notre Dame team? I'm obviously seriously hoping that it's not the latter. Carolina is still, looking for that number 1 overall seed in the ACC tournament. They haven't locked it down yet. They're still in hunt for a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. So, these are games that you must win. I think the Heels, understanding the stakes at hand, understanding that they have 5 days to prepare for Duke after this game, and understanding that in order to be great and to do what they set out to do at the beginning of the year, there's no more room for slip-ups, bro, i.e. Georgia Tech, Clemson, and Syracuse. They play with high energy from the onset, and they beat the Irish 84-68, effectively setting up that monster date with the Devils. So what do you think about my score prediction, Tar Heel and Irish Nation? Is your boy Russ onto something, man? Or am I sitting down here at the edge of the bench, lying out of my teeth, pulling a Kyle Filipowski? Put your score predictions down there for me as well. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and shout out to my Huddle Hooligans who help me keep the lights on in this place. I love you guys, and I appreciate your continued support. There will be a live reaction and watch party March 5th, 7 p.m., so make sure you come and hang out as we watch Ramesses and the Heels fight off the Fighting Irish in the Dome, baby. We'll see you Tuesday night. Looking forward to it, fam.